From Federer versus Nadal to Navratilova versus Everett, tennis has given us some of the biggest and exciting tennis rivalries in history. Let's get the ball rolling with Bjorn Borg versus John McEnroe. These two managed to produce some of the most magical moments in tennis in the 70s, and one of the most talked about rivalries in the history of tennis. That too after facing each other only 14 times. Yep, just 14. But 4 of those came in the Grand Slam finals. And every match between Borg and McEnroe was spectacular, and the fact that these two were complete opposites on the court and off it made it all the more fun. While Bjorn was a cool, calm Swede, John was your confrontational New Yorker who'd throw tantrums on the court all the time. Even now when tennis players lose their cool, they're compared to John. This is the exact reason why their rivalry is famous as fire and ice. However, the rivalry was short-lived. At the 1981 US Open, Borg had a massive meltdown after losing to John and announced his retirement. Fans were left completely shocked. He even walked out of the stadium before the presentation even started. But the two are still friends off the courts and even get together for exhibition matches. That's not all. If you guys want to see it play out on the big screen, there's a whole movie made on their rivalry. Bjorn and McEnroe lit up the tennis world in a way few had before. You can only wonder how many more iconic duels would have taken place between the tennis giants if things had gone differently. That being said, this next rivalry had to face a rather tragic end. Steffi Graf versus Monica Seles. These two were the most dominant women players on the court in the early 1990s. Graf stood as the undisputed queen of the tennis arena during this time. But then, a 16-year-old Seles met Steffi at the French Open final 1990, and nobody could have predicted that the mighty Graf would fall to a teenager. The two tennis legends then met each other 15 times on the court, and even though Graf won most of them, Monica managed to give her some tough competition. But then, everything changed. During a quarterfinal match in Hamburg, Seles was stabbed in the back by a Graf-obsessed fanatic. Though she survived the deadly attack, it pushed her away from the court for 2 long years. What a tragedy. It's safe to say even after her return, her game wasn't the same as before. But even after facing such a tragic incident, Seles managed to beat Graf on the big stage upon her return. Fans were left to wonder how many more titles she would have stolen from the German, if only she wasn't gone for all those years. The rivalry had so much potential, but for as long as they faced each other on the court in the 90s, the fans witnessed some of the most spectacular moments. Speaking of the 90s, while Seles and Graf dominated women's tennis, it was Boris Becker and Stefan Edberg making history happen in men's tennis. This one was by far the most entertaining rivalry to come out of the 90s. Becker and Edberg met for a total of 35 times, and it was Boris who held the lead 25-10. They played against each other 4 times at Grand Slam, with Edberg winning 3 out of those. These two managed to bring out the best of each other on the court. Tennis fans at the time just couldn't get enough of these two, especially Becker, who just had this charisma that had fans going crazy over him. And you guys know that? These two tennis legends were the first ones to meet each other in the Wimbledon finals for 3 years in a row. The rivalry even resumed as coaches, with Edberg joining Rogers' camp and Becker teaming up with Novak's. It's even rumored that Federer was inspired to choose tennis by it. Well, now that I've mentioned Federer, it only makes sense to talk about the greatest rivalry in the modern age of tennis, or even in the world of sports, Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. This rivalry had all the strong ingredients that all-time great rivalries must have. The admiration and respect was there. So was the fact that the two played each other for the biggest titles in the tennis world countless times. And who can forget that they're in the top 3 when it comes to most Grand Slams won? I mean, nobody is forgetting that 2008 Wimbledon final anytime soon. It lasted almost 5 hours. For me, their finals against each other just showed the world what great tennis should be like. Still, there's a lot more that made this matchup special. Federer was calmness personified on the court, while Nadal was a raging bull. They quickly became poster boys for the golden age of tennis. The two have played each other 40 times, with Nadal winning the overall record 24-16. Every time the two have met on the court, they managed to steal the show. But with Federer's retirement, the rivalry has reached its end. Still, it was a privilege to watch two GOATs play with such excellence with each other. Talking about GOATs, a sibling rivalry was something unheard of in the tennis world, but these two sisters showed the world that talent can come in pairs too. Can you guys guess what I'm talking about? It's the Williams sisters. Venus Williams and Serena Williams dominated the tennis world for almost 2 decades. Their power together on the tennis court was unmatched, so much so that no other women tennis players could come close to this deadly duo in the early 2000s. But the two sisters have always remained friendly throughout it. Serena and Venus have met for a total of 31 times, with the former enjoying a lead of 19-12. Many of these were major title wins. Each of the finals had its own class. While the rivalry has carried through on the singles court, they've maintained a long-lasting winning doubles partnership, even on the Olympic stage. Now let's move on to the most prolonged rivalry. Yep, I'm talking about Chris Evert and Martina Navratilova. Much of the 1970s and 80s, they shared the court, with both fighting for the #1 ranking between them. But you guys want to know what makes this rivalry insane? These two met for a total of 80 times, with Navratilova having the lead of 43-37 and 36-24 in finals. That's 16 years of facing each other on the courts, guys. Once fans saw them both fighting it out in a match, it became pretty hard for them to predict which one would win. And while Everett ruled the first half of the rivalry in the late 80s, Navratilova proved her talent in the latter half of the rivalry. Everett was a powerful baseline player, while Navratilova had the ultimate serve and volley game. They battled during a time when these two playing styles clashed on tennis courts. The only thing these tennis legends shared was the drive and determination to be number one in the tennis world. Soon the rivalry became the central focus of women's tennis in the 80s. The 1985 French Open final is considered their best match. Rightfully so. Fans saw both the players bring out the best of them for it. Off the court, the two remained good friends. Both of them left a legacy that the tennis world still remembers to this day, especially Navratilova. These rivals raised the standard of tennis and became the greatest at their craft. That's all I have for you guys today. I'll see you in the next one.